Kim Rich is here. She is a criminal justice professor at Pierce College near Los Angeles in California. And I'm going to show the article that caught my attention, Kim, because the Epoch Times calls you a whistleblower. I'm not sure. Would you consider yourself a whistleblower? This is the article. California Community College overrun with fake students, bots, whistleblower. Is that you? Are you the whistleblower?
I wouldn't really say I'm a whistleblower. I'm just bringing something to everybody's attention that they should know about and that I believe the district has been trying to hide for some time now. And it involves everybody out there because in the big scheme of things, it's taxpayers' money and everybody should know what's going on.
Right. So that reason I asked that question is because when you use that term, it gives the reader the sense that there's some force that's trying to prevent that information from being seen by the public. So could we, I guess let's start with what happened, but I want to know too, what would be the reason that we shouldn't hear about this? Why would somebody not want us to know about what's going on?
Well, that's personal opinion, so you can come to your own conclusion maybe after you hear what I have to say. But I truly believe the reason that they don't want this information out there is because they don't want people to realize that they are leaving these students in there for what I believe is the purpose of keeping their enrollment numbers higher than they actually are.
I see. And because they get money.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, it's a public school. It is funded by the federal and the state government. And this is all a part of, the financial aid process. And, the lower your numbers go, the less per person, per student, you get reimbursed. So there's obviously different categories, and the lower it goes, it doesn't look great. Why are your numbers, dipping so low?
All right. So tell me how you came across this problem.
So I do have a background in law enforcement, and I have done investigations before, and I noticed some unusual occurrences in my summer class. It's a class that I teach the second summer session. So the second 5 weeks of the summer, I teach it every semester. And there were a handful of students in there that I knew were basically cheating. They were turning in the identical work. And as I dived into it a little bit more, I just started seeing some occurrences that I had not seen before in my previous classes. So I just did some digging and noticed all of a sudden that a lot of the students, about 1/3 of the class, were anthropology majors. And that is off the charts, unheard of. That doesn't happen. All different majors take our courses. But generally, if you're going to see a certain amount of one discipline in there, it's going to be criminal justice. And it was really weird. They were all anthropology majors. So I started looking at the student ID numbers and realized there's something weird going on here. This is more than just students who would cheat, hey, I don't want to do my homework, so I'm going to share it with someone else, or I'm going to ask somebody else to, do the homework for me. This was, 11 out of the 30 students I had. And those were just the ones that really stood out. So I believe there were actually more in my class. So I had sent an email to an administrator at the school saying, I think there's something very strange going on here, not something I've seen before. Would you please look into this? And then I just kept going with it and realized that these students in my class, a lot of them had taken similar classes or the same class with the same instructor in the first summer session. And then I said, well, if that's the case, let's look and see what they're enrolled in for fall. And that just kind of really blew everything out of the water. They were all enrolled in so many of the same classes. Just say, for example, most people wouldn't enroll in math 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to take a couple or probably not even two at one time. And these students, who were all students in my summer class, were all taking the same exact classes with the same instructor in the fall. So that kind of said, okay, this is not usual. This is not anywhere normal. There's something bigger going on here.
Okay, I'm curious. Do you present that then and say we need to be investigating this further, and there was resistance to it? Where does that, I guess, eventually lead you?
So then I just started diving in deeper. I saw that I had something I was interested in trying to figure out. And when I realized that there were so many in my class, I was like, so 1/3 of my class are what I started to term not real students, because they were not completing the work. Somebody else that was not enrolled in the class was completing the work. For some of them, their communication was kind of really off. And so every time I looked into one of the classes that one of my students had enrolled in the summer and then again in the fall, it just would snowball. So then I would find others in that class, and then I would have to look into the classes that those people were taking, which led me to a new class where I found more. And just based on my experience, I would say these are not real students at all. There is definitely some kind of program that has been kind of almost like a Trojan horse that's in the system, and it's permitting fake students to enroll. And the only reason that would occur is for some monetary value. They're not there to get an education. Most of them, some of them are not participating. They're not passing the classes because they're not real people.
I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, that someone with the California Student Aid Commission noticed this at other schools in California, but at community colleges, mostly, if not entirely. Do you have any idea why this would be happening specifically at community colleges, and why California?
Why California? I don't know. Again, I don't know a lot about the enrollment side of it. I also don't know a lot about the financial aid side of it. That's not my expertise at all. But I was told that our district and many colleges, especially community colleges in the state, use the same program. It's like a common application program where students can apply to a variety of schools. And so I'm not really quite sure if the issue is at that stage in this program where everybody applies, because there are other colleges up and down the state that have had this problem, but they have also remedied the problem, or at least taken steps to ensure that more students, fake students, are not enrolling. So that's kind of, like I said, that's not really my expertise, but that's what I have been told. And based on a lot of the articles that were already released have kind of mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I'll just show you this real fast. I was just looking this up. There was some rule was passed, or some change in policy that the verification requirements were in some way going to be waived for financial aid. Does that, in your opinion, signal maybe where the change started? I'm just curious, or is it COVID? Why do you think this wildfire seems to have sparked now versus the past?
Right. So 100% COVID, I think, provided that opportunity for, obviously very intelligent people who decide to use their intelligence for the wrong reasons to get into the system. Because yes, like in the past, I believe you've had to go to the business office, show identification of who you are, and then you would get the financial aid check. But because of COVID, this has provided an opportunity to do it all online. And it's very easy, obviously, as we can see, to manipulate the system. And I believe that is what has occurred. However, it's really interesting because as far as I know, with financial aid, you would need to, even with a college application, provide name, date of birth, social security number, which leads me to believe that somewhere, somehow, a database has been hacked, and they've been able to obtain people's names, social security numbers, dates of birth, because I don't see how they would be able to have so many different names, social security numbers, and dates of birth to continue to do this since the summertime.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So here, this was the part I was looking for. In July, it was announced that federal student aid officials would waive most verification requirements for aid applications for the 2021-2022 academic year. This was done in order to provide relief to students in colleges facing challenges resulting from COVID-19 emergency. One such requirement that was waived was proof of income, which had been criticized as being a slow process that disproportionately impacts low-income families. And just before that, this guy says the suspected fraudulent cases had surpassed 65,000. That's quite a bit.
Yes, that is. And that had been reported at the beginning of September. I was not aware, again, of all that financial aid waiver requirements going on. But, because of COVID, there have been so many different programs that are just handing out money almost kind of blindly to different groups and organizations. And, it seems like anybody can find some COVID relief money. So it would not surprise me if there's some other COVID tie to it. But that's definitely something to consider if they're not verifying who these people are. I mean, once you would be able to verify, then, that might help. But I mean, they're using people's identities who are deceased. They're using doctors, lawyers, journalists. They're using, at least from the ones that I can find, those are basically a handful of people that I have found that you could actually verify in the internet. It's not the student.
So, right, you were bringing up potentially there having been some kind of database that was hacked. I'm curious because I did get a question from someone about what might be behind this, and is it larger than, or is it potentially larger, I guess, than just maybe some citizen hacker? Or could there be I don't know, just something bigger behind this than, and what would that potentially be? I don't know, but it just seems sophisticated, I guess, to say the least, for, just it being just some random person somewhere that
I do not believe it is some random person somewhere. This is definitely a criminal organization somewhere, likely outside of our country, in my personal opinion, that has done this. And it is very sophisticated. And again, I am not into cybersecurity, so I don't understand everything about it by any means, but it does take, someone who is extremely sophisticated, some kind of criminal organization enterprise that is definitely responsible for this. It would surprise me if it was anything but that. So, and, I don't know if our district is getting hit harder simply because we are the largest community college district in the nation. We have 9 schools in our district, or if it's simply because a lack of cybersecurity. But I think there are definitely steps that can be taken to remove the students from the classes that are fake, but yet that hasn't been done. And they've continued to enroll in winter courses now. And, the spring semester was just released. So we're going to have students enrolling in the spring semester. And my fear is that, again, the spring semester is going to be full of these fake students. And, they adapt just like, we are. Well, I don't know really if our district is adapting to figuring it out, but when their program comes up with a glitch, the criminals program, then they alter it so that they can get through that glitch and find a new way. And so we're seeing new and different things coming up. And so I don't know really what the fix is for this, but in the meantime, we have all these students who are not real students in classes.
Before we get to the rest of this video, don't forget you can support my work with a great gift idea for the holidays. And there are 2 options to toast free speech. while you watch my videos. The first is AllisonWinePromo.com. That's Allison with 1L winepromo.com. You get 50% off some of my favorite Malbecs from the high altitude regions of Argentina. They use no flavoring, no filtering, no dyes, and no excess chemicals. And not only do you get 50% off the wine itself, but you get 50% off shipping. Now, if you'd like your holiday toast to free speech to be over a hot cup of coffee, or actually a cold brew Caturra tea, which is tea made from the coffee fruits, check out my other sponsor, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. These are high altitude, shade grown, USDA certified organic Nicaraguan roasts. And the founder and CEO of the company lives right there in Nicaragua, where they grow, harvest, and roast the coffee. So wherever you are this holiday season, definitely check out my sponsors and toast to free speech. One thing that COVID has made me think a lot about, and I hear it also from my community of subscribers, is it seems like sometimes, maybe a lot of times, that when breaking the rules benefits the people who are I guess at the top of whatever you want to call it, at the top of that power chain, they look the other way, or they're slow to react. If it hurts them, or if it's of no benefit, they're very quick to crack down. That's just my opinion here, and I hear it from other people. And I'm curious if you think that is playing into this particular issue. It's benefiting the people who could stop it if they wanted to, and they're just not.
My personal opinion, yeah, I do think that's part of it. Because what I have done is nothing, spectacular. And I've done it on such a limited level. They have access, when I say they, the district has access to much more information through our computer system than I do. I have greater access than the average faculty member, because I was asked to be a part of a distance education team when COVID hit, to help get all of our faculty online. So I have a little bit greater access, and I also do because I'm department chair. But in the big scheme of things, like, I do not have the access for students' dates of birth, social security numbers. I really just have access to ID numbers, names, a couple other little items that really, in the big scheme of things, are not what is telling me that these are fake students. So if I could figure that out on such a low level, why haven't they taken the steps to remove these students? And, the unfortunate thing is they're putting it on the backs of the faculty, like, make sure you drop students who are inactive. Well, we already know a month and a half out, we likely have hundreds, if not thousands, of fake students in our winter classes. Why do we need to wait for the classes to start to get rid of the students? Because the classes are full with fake students, so now real students can't enroll in them. So, there's just, you really have to wonder why they wouldn't want to take this opportunity to let everyone know, we have this problem, we're addressing it. This is what we're doing. We care about our students. We want, the people in the community we serve to be able to take our courses. But all they've done is basically hidden behind this veil of, kind of, if we don't say anything, maybe, they can't see it, type of thing.
Before I get to questions from my locals community, that a couple of them came in, and I should give a shout out to locals. If you're not over there, go check out my locals community and subscribe, AllisonMorrow.locals.com. I post the stories and the interviews I'm planning to do ahead of time, so you can put your questions there, and I always make sure to ask. So it's a great place to get in touch with me too. I also do Saturday morning live editorial board meetings, where you can be on my editorial board, help me figure out stories for the week ahead, and give me feedback from the week before. I'm curious, did you feel like you just had no other option than to start talking to the media about it? Why did you decide to go public with the problem?
Because I felt like nobody at my district was listening, not only at my school, but the students that I recognized identified in my summer class, so back in July and August, that have stolen other people's identity, who are likely committing financial aid fraud. There's really no other reason for them to be in these courses. They are still enrolled in fall classes as we speak today, right now. And it has infuriated me that the district, they don't even need to ask for my help, but at least acknowledge what is going on and let the faculty know how they're fixing it. Like, faculty didn't even know this problem existed until I brought it to a lot of their attention. They were just mortified at what was happening. And I've just hit brick wall after brick wall to the point where it didn't matter what email I sent to who, it was basically being ignored. So I just stopped sending the emails and said, I'm just going to continue to do my own investigation into this. And maybe if it gets out in the public, maybe then they'll do something about it. I mean, the taxpayers are losing money, and the students who we rely on, who we were hired to educate, cannot get into our classes to be educated. And to make it faculty's responsibility to drop students when they shouldn't have even gotten to that point in the first place, I think is just, that passing the buck. Let's put it off on the faculty. They can drop students who aren't participating. But a lot of these fake students do participate. So what do you do about that? And the frustration has just grown and grown and grown. And I can't just, say, oh, forget the morals, the values, the ethics, forget why you guys hired me to educate students. I'm just going to pretend it doesn't occur. It was just something that I could not back away from.